Thank you for that big introduction. And we are going to continue here now. So I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, here we go. The Gemara, we're really on Chaf Daled 24b on the top. I said something a little bit wrong yesterday. I just want to tweak something I said. So I'd really like to start on the I really like to start from the beginning, the Gemara on the beginning again, on the bottom of Daf, just from the Gemara on 24a, on the Gemara on the bottom, and we'll zip through it. It'll help us with the running start. Will help us through. So we're going to start on the bottom of 24a. The Gemara, it said that Rabbi Gamliel had all these different pictures of the moon, all these different, I don't know, pictures or whatever it was. He had some sort of things of the moon, models or pictures. I guess it was pictures of the moon. And he would show them to the witness and say, "Did you see it like this? Did you see it like that?" So this way, he was able to help discern which witnesses are right and which is wrong. So again, we're going to start again from 24a on the bottom, right by the beginning of the Gemara, because I do want to tweak something I said yesterday. It's going to help us through. The Gemara says, "Mishari, was it really allowed for Rabbi Gamliel to have pictures of the moon like this?" V'aksiv lo sasun iti, lasun kedmush shemashai. The Brisa says from the pasuk lo sasun iti, pasuk in the Dibros, where is it? Yeah, lo sasun iti, that a person should not make to me. So it says lo sasun kidmush shemashai. A person should not make models, pictures of I think it's models, really. It's really better of those that serve me. So therefore, the Gemara is asking, how did Rabbi Gamliel have pictures of the moon? Because you can't take pictures of the moon, the stars, any of those things you can't take pictures of. Now, really, what we need to do is that the Gemara is going to attempt. Abai is going to give an answer here, and the Gemara is going to attempt 5 different times in order, maybe even more. I think it's 5 different times in order to strike Abai out. And the brisa that the Gemara keeps quoting is a similar brisa. It's the same, I guess, brisa, but different. There were different phraseologies that they used of this brisa, and each one has a couple of words that tweak it, and until the Gemara finally gets to a resolution of it. So Abai's thesis is the following: how did Rabbi Gamliel? We move back to the bottom of Chaf Daled Amud Aleph, right at the beginning of the Gemara, because it's just going to help us. How did Rabbi Gamliel have these pictures of the moon? So Abai says, "Lo asur Torah ela shemashu she'efshar la'asosod kamosa." Abai's opinion is the only problem of making when the Torah asers us, it prohibits us to make models or pictures of things that serve Hashem, so to speak. It's only things that we can actually make a model of. So he's going to say, for example, things in the Beis Hamikdash. We can make a model of those, but we can't make a model of the moon. It's kind of big, and it's kind of, no one would fall for it. It's not like you can't really make a model of the moon and stars. Certainly not the stars. I mean, the moon theoretically is smaller than the Earth, I guess, if a person really wanted to. But the stars you can't, because it's bigger than the Earth. So you can't make a model of these things, because there it's not an issue. Rather, those are not an issue, because we can't really make models of those. Anything that's a model of those is not really a good replica. However, things that we can actually make a good replica of, we cannot do. So that's Abai's thesis, and the Gemara is going to keep trying to attack this thesis. Keditanya lo yaseh adam beis tavnes heichal. The Brisa says that we can't make a model of the heichal, which is the inner chamber of the Beis Hamikdash. Achsadra tavnes ulam. We can't make of the hallway that leads into the heichal. Chatzar keneged azara, or of the courtyard that goes into the azara of the Beis Hamikdash. Shulchan keneged shulchan. We can't make a table like the table on the Beis Hamikdash. Menorah keneged menorah. We can't make a menorah like the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. Aval oseh shel chamisha v'shisha v'shmona v'shel shiva lo yaseh. Now we're at the top of Chaf Daled Amud Beis. We're right at the top of 24b. We're on the second line. So the Gemara, we move back a little bit. So it says, but you can make ones that have branches that are 6, 5, 6, 8. You just can't make a 7-branch menorah, because if you make a 7-branch menorah, that would be replicating what was in the Beis Hamikdash. Afil shashash. And it continues. Afil shashar mini matachas. Even if it's going to be made of other metals, that would be enough of a replica that would be also to make. A 7-branch menorah, even made of other metals, would be prohibited. Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda afshal eitz lo yaseh. He goes even further. He says a 7-branch menorah, even if it's made of wood, you can't make. Because that's the way the Chashmonaim did it, and when they were in a corrupted stage, it's something that they were not allowed to do. Oh, I don't know. Oh no, sorry, my fault. That's the way the Chashmonaim made it. They made it when they didn't have access to the menorah of Zav. They made it in wood. They made a wood version. So therefore, we can't even make a wood version because that was something that was done for the Beis Hamikdash as well. So in any case, Abai's thesis, just to sum up again, Rabbi's thesis is the only things that are prohibited to replicate are things that we can actually replicate. But since we can't replicate a sun, we can't replicate stars, we can't replicate the moon. Those are things we can't replicate. The two vast, the too big. No one's going to think that that's an accurate projection of it. So therefore, those are not a problem. Now we have a machlokes when we talk about the menorah. Is it just a metal menorah that we can't replicate, or is it even a wood menorah? And Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda says even a wood menorah. So the Gemara answers the Bryce says it's answering Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Amar lo misham raya. Don't bring me a proof from the wood menorah of the base of the Chashmonaim. Really, it was made of iron. And they covered it in tin, and I guess somehow that looked like wood. And I don't know. So they're just arguing it was never really wood; it was really metal. Hashir, when they became richer, the Chashmonaim asum shal kesef, they made it of silver. Chazru Hashir, when they had even more money, asum shal zav, then they brought it back to gold. In any case, it's a question of which menorah you can't replicate. But either way, Abai's thesis is that you can. The reason why Rabbi Gamliel was able to have pictures of the moon is because those are things that you cannot even theoretically replicate, so those are not a problem. The only things that are a problem are things that you can actually replicate, like parts of the Beis Hamikdash. That is what the Gemara's thesis is right now, and the Gemara is going to keep just trying to throw brises at Abai's thesis until it strikes him out. And eventually, at the end, it's going to kind of checkmate him at the end of the page. But first, they keep throwing brises, and all the brises are vague enough that Abai says that's not a proof. The Gemara says, really? You're allowed to replicate, you're allowed to make, reproduce things that we can't really reproduce, meaning models of the moon, the stars. We're allowed to do that. The Hatanya, the Brisa says, Lo sasuniti, same pasuk, don't make images of me, so to speak. Don't make models or don't make replicas. There we go. I was going to say replications. Don't make replicas. Is replication a word? Yeah. Okay. It's at 6:20 in the morning. Sometimes it's not. Today it is. Okay. I just my mind's like, okay, fine. You know, it's much more confusing to keep your English when you're flipping between languages. I find like when I'm reading Aramaic, Hebrew, and then going back to English, and I'm like, wait, is that a word? My mind is. Huh? That's when you speak Spanish. My mind is my father-in-law. That's my father-in-law when he speaks to his family, because my father-in-law speaks Yiddish and his family speaks Yiddish, Hebrew, English, and Spanish. So I'm used to the other. Once the Spanish gets in there, I get lost in the conversation. I'm like, I don't know, like now I'm really lost. But like, it's fascinating. My mind loses its English constantly. I'm constantly trying to. When I go into Hebrew mode, my mind starts to think in the Gemara language, and then I can't get myself back. It's a phenomenon. But in any case, either way, so the Gemara says. That's my way of saying yes, I'm a doofus. Okay, so the Gemara says, so the Brisa says over here from the pasuk that not to make things that serve me. So it says don't make things that serve me in the heavens, so to speak, on high. So now, if it's saying on high, so the Brisa is clearly indicating that it's not talking about things that we can make models of in this world. It's talking about even the celestial bodies. So Rabbi, lo asur Torah. No. That Brisa is not a proof. Now he's going to deflect this one as well. Lo asur Torah ela demus arba panim b'hadi hadadi. It's only talking about the this is discussing like something in Kabbalah. It's called the Ma'aseh Merkava. It's talking about where there are four faces. The pasuk in Yechezkel talks about there are four faces of four creatures that had faces together as one of the angelic beings. It's a Ari, Kruv, a Nesher, and an Adam, I believe. Either way, or a shore, Ari, a shore, Nesher, Adam. Either way, those you can make that. You can make that a replicate of those four faces together. That would be the problem. However, any other of the celestial beings you can. Parts of Adam L'chudei Tishtari. But if it would just be a man's face by itself, that would not be a human being's face by itself would not be a problem. Meaning, it's only if the human being's face is connected with the other three faces that it's a problem. So Abaye deflected that also. So now Abaye, we're still left with this thesis that you can make a model of the celestial bodies, just not things that are on that serve Hashem on the ground, meaning i.e. the Beis Hamikdash, or we've added that you can make these four animal faces with one human face together, like you find in the Cheskel. The Gemara says, really? You still think Alama Tanya? If that's true, we have a brayso that says Kol hapartzufim mutarim chutzim parts of Adam. It says, however, that we have a brayso that says that all the four faces are permitted, that all faces are permitted except for the face of a person. So you see that that the face of a person is prohibited just by itself. Shmili, I heard this. I know from what Abaye's teachings, I know the answer to this one. Lo sasun iti. The pasuk says lo sasun osi. You can't make something that represents me. You can't make something that represents me. So therefore, it's correct. A person would also be a problem. So because in the Nevuahs we find, there's Rabbi Chanan's explanation. In the Nevuahs we find that the Nevuahs sometimes come as a image of a person. So therefore, you can't make an image of a person either. So that would also be a problem. So now Abaye, let's just where we are over here. Abaye is saying the reason Rabbi Gamliel had all these images is because it's not a problem to make heavenly hosts, the bodies of the celestial, the stars, and any of that, the stars, the moon, the sun. None of that's a problem. The only problems are things from the Beis Hamikdash, the images of angels, the four angel faces together, and a person by itself. Those are the ones that are a problem. The other things are not a problem. The Gemara now asks, is it really you're allowed to make the other ones? Now it's going to continue. The brisa each one of these brises add more. So it says lo sasun kidemus shmashem shashim lefei marom. Any of the things that serve me kagon, and now it adds examples in this brisa. Ofanim sraf v'chayas hakodesh malach hasharis. It says all the malachim. You can't make any of the malachim either. So now the brisa is specifically going beyond our world. Things. I mean, again, Abaye's thesis would be that it's something that you could replicate, and somebody could say, "Hey, this is an actual." Replication of the real thing, or this is replica. This is an actual replica of the real thing, and maybe either confuse it or it's good. It's really an accurate replica. But the sun, the stars, the moons, or the angels, except for that specific angel, those four faces. But the angels, those what do you call it? Those would not be a problem. But here the brisa says the angels are a problem. Now he answers this also. He says, yeah, you know what? There are other things that are a problem. But again, not the sun, the moon, the stars, and anything like that. What are a problem? Only those that serve Hashem in the upper spheres, meaning the higher spheres than our world, in the upper dimensions of our world. Like so the angels are also a problem. But Shemadora Tachla Mishari, fine. Shemadora Elyon. It's only those in the upper realms. So basically, Abaye has mitigated this whole teaching to everything has a possible prohibition except the sun, the moon, the stars, and meaning because now we've added the Beis Hamikdash, meaning everything that could serve Hashem, everything that could be represented as a servant of Hashem in the Torah, including an Adam, the four faces on the Maisa Merkava, the four faces on the dream of Yechezkel. The angels are those are and anything in the base of Mikdash, those are all a problem. But Abai is saying, but not the sun, the moon, the stars, and that's how Rabbi Gamliel taught it. Now the Bryce, now the Gemara really puts him in checkmate. Really, you're telling me that the lower realm of heaven is not a problem? Va'atanya, and then this Bryce really goes at it. The pasuk says Asher b'shamayim. It says don't make lo zasun. You shouldn't make a pasal any pasal or any replica of anything that is in the heavens. And what does that include? The Rabos Chama Levana Kolchav Mazalas, to include the sun, the moon, the stars, and all the different constellations. Mima'al, and then the verse continues, and above. That's part of the verse. The Rabos Malach Yesharis, that includes even the ministering angels of Hashem. So now Abai gets out of this brisa as well by saying the following. Yeah, you're right. There it says you can't make it. Kitanya hayla avdom. That's only if you're making it to serve it, because it's talking about avodah zarah. That brisa, it's talking about avodah zarah. So that's why it says you can't make it. But just to make it to have an image in the house, that would not, or an image, that would not be a problem. Now, it's worthwhile, I should have, as a word of introduction, there are different prohibitions about having graven images and having and worshiping. Those are actually two different. It's usher to have whatever image is usher to have, to make. Those are prohibited, even if you're not going to worship it. So somebody brings you a chachka. What's the English word for chachka? A thingamajudge. A thingamajudge. I think that's the actual. So from I used to have this. I used to have my great aunt, who's no longer alive. Whatchamacallit, right? So now you're reminding me of the chocolate bar. I haven't want to listen to it so long. So I used to have a great aunt who used to travel the world and stuff like that. So she used to constantly bring us all these these chachkas, and there were all these little images, and she never brought us a Buddha, I guess she knew nothing, but she did bring us all the from China and this and that and whatever. So just having them, those could theoretically be a problem. In any case, so even without worshiping. So here, Abai is saying that those are not a problem. The ones that you're the having these the pasuk that you're bringing us about having the sun, the moon, and the stars it's not a problem, because that's not that verse. It's not referring to having the image itself. It's referring to worshiping. So now Abai's got out of that. The Gemara asks, what? That's not like that. You can't deflect it that way. If you're talking about worshiping them, it could be even a worm. Why is it talking about things in the heavens? Anything. You can't worship anything. You can't build anything to worship it. That's always a problem. But it doesn't. There's no exceptions to that. Even if you build a standard to worship it, you can't build anything to worship it. So Gemara says inachanami. And Abai says, you're right. That's true, and that is what this price is talking about. Titania, and I'll show it to you. If you look where that price continues, it says Asher ba'aretz. Besides saying the things that are in Shemayim, it also includes things that are on the ground, to include the mountains, the hills, and the rivers. And even under the those that are smaller than that, including even the worms, everything. So Abai says this brisa is all talking about worshiping, about building things to worship or worshiping things. That brisa that has included all of the various levels and realms of the universe. That is talking about worshiping. However, we still have no proof. I'm sorry, I thought I jumped the gun early saying that this was a proof to Abai. It hasn't been. The next one I think will be. Not a proof to Abai, a question on Abai. The next one I believe will be. But the Abai has deflected all of the brises that have been thrown against him, and he's still of the opinion that the only things that are prohibited are things that you can actually make a replica of, or a human being, the four faces of the chariot, of the vision of the chariot in Yechezkel, and angelic beings. Excluding, meaning what is permitted, like Rabbi Gamliel did in the Mishnah, is the moon, the sun, the stars. The Gemara says, really? That's true? Okay, and here we go with the next brisa. Vasir Gred and Yishar, really? You're allowed to make it you're allowed to make these things without worshiping it, without having the intention to worship it? Vatanya, we have a brisa now This one is just going to say it straight out. Lo sa'asun iti, lo sa'asun kidemus shemashay ha'mishamshim lefanai kigon chama levana kolchav mazalas. The Bryce says specifically that you can't make anything that serves me, including the sun, the moon, the stars, and the constellations. So now there's no way out of that one. That one just says it. You even kind of wonder why the Gemara doesn't bring it in the first place. The Bryce, it just specifically says, not like what Abaye is saying. It took 5 different chances before it got to this Bryce where it was like then threw the fastball and it just knocked him out. So you'd have to. But you do see that this is the way the Gemara works. It's almost a good 50% or more of the Gemara's avoda of what it's trying to always do is trying to flesh out brises. It's trying to figure out using syntax of brises, what does the Mishnah mean and which brises are what do the brises mean and how can we use these brises to understand the Mishnah. Okay, anyway, Guru says, so now that knocked it out. So now we have no Abaye's answer being out. How he can't just answer that it's permitted to make these things. So how did Rabbi Gamliel make a replica of the moon? So, image of the moon. So Shani Rabbi Gamliel, so the Gemara answers, Shani Rabbi Gamliel, da'achrei masulo. You know what it must be? Rabbi Gamliel didn't make it; others made it for him. Nice. Get the other guy to go to hell. Okay. So Gemara says, V'ha Rav Yehuda da'acher masu. Whoa, that's not a good answer because Rabbi Yehuda had others do it for him. Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda, meaning Rabbi Yehuda. I'm sorry. Somebody that gave a replica to Rabbi. Somebody gave a replica of to Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to see it was a ring. It was a replica that had an image of a ring. They gave it to him, and the Amalei Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel said to Rabbi Yehuda, "Shinina, sharp one." That's what he used to call him. Same ene didain. You have to destroy the image that is on that ring. You have to knock out a piece of that image, so it's not a good image on the ring because it's also to keep that image. So you see here that even if somebody gave it to you, it would still be also. So the Gemara says, "Hasam chosama boled hava." So that was a case where there was a signet ring, I think, and the image was protruding from the ring. So that if the image protruded from the ring, you would take it and put the image into the hot wax or whatever they would use, a clay, and it would imprint the image onto it. So that was a problem. And why was it a problem? It's not that it was a problem of building a pesel, of building a graven image or even getting a graven image. It's mishul chashada, because he was walking around. People are going to suspect him. He's walking around with an image around him, that he's carrying. They're going to say, I don't know if he's really so religious. I don't know. He walks around with a little bold, fat guy image on his ring. So people are going to suspect him. So the Gemara says, Kiditanya, as we have in the Brisa, Tabas, a ring, chosama bolet, asr lahanicha. If you have a ring that has the image protruding from it, it's asr to keep it. But you'll be allowed to, it's also to keep it on your fingers. It's to walk around with it. So it's be a problem, Marasayan. But you could use it in order to make a seal. Thank you. Chosamo, no, fine. Yeah, that's it. The chosamo shokeya mutala anicha v'asa lachlam ba. If it is a seal that is, I guess it's the ring where it's imprinted the other way, where is that what it is? It's a recessed ring. Is that recessed with the print? The seal on the ring is recessed. Yeah. It's like that, like with the seal. So then the seal is going to be protrude. So then mutter lahanicha, you can wear it, but also lachtamba. But every single time you use it, you're going to make a protruding imprint, so that you would not be allowed to make. So it's basically saying that none of this is a problem of really replicating anything of holding images. It's just a chashad. It's a people are going to suspect this person is, not adherent really to Torah mitzvahs. They're going to be walking around with a getchka with a model of some sort of image on them. It's a gezerah. So Gemara says, really, we're really suspect of such. We have such suspicions. There was this meeting place that had there's I don't know, there's some sort of images of some sort of statues or something that was in Narda. The Havabe, it was called the Shaf the Yosef Narda. That's what it's called. The Havabe Andarta, and there was a statue in there, like a statue of a king. The Hava Aili Rav Shmuel Vavud Shmuel Valevi Matzu Hasam, and Shmuel and Rav and the father of Shmuel and Levi, they would daven there, even though there was a statue in there. V'lo cheshin al chashada, and we don't have any suspicion that they were davening to the statue. So why are there suspicion that a person's walking around with a bulging ring? So Gemara says l'chashada Rab Mishani. If there's a lot of people going in there, you see a pop is going. We're not going to suspect a whole bunch of people is all going to go do avodah zarah together. That we won't suspect. So then there is no chashad. Gemara says, but okay, so now what you're coming out is that really there is no problem to the only problem. The only problem to make an image of the sun, the moon, and the stars is if it would not be a problem if others made it for you, or if it protrudes. I'm not sure where the Gemara is on its final answer over here. But either way, because we had both, we had a possibility that if we had it says others made it from. It says us. So it sounds like if others make it for you, it has to both protrude and has to be made by others. Then it'd be permitted. So the Gemara is, I guess, coming up that Rabbi Gamliel had something that was made by others, and it did not protrude. Is possible. I don't know if the Gemara is stuck with that or not. And that's how Rabbi Gamliel had it. But either way, I guess others made it from whatever it is. And you don't have to worry. You don't have to suspect that people are gonna. You don't have to worry that people are going to suspect him of avodah zarah, because it's for a group, then there's no suspicion. But the Gemara says Rabbi Gamliel is not a group; it was one person. So then we would go back to suspecting him. So it says no, because Kevin the Nasi Rabim Gabe. Since he was the Nasi, he always had a lot of people around him. There were always people coming over to him, people that surrounded him. So we had no suspicions for Rabbi Gamliel. So there was no problem to suspect it, and others made it for him, and therefore this. So it sounds like it comes out that you can't make any of these things. You cannot make any of the images of any of these things that we've mentioned. If somebody made it for you and gave it to you, you'd be allowed to keep it as long as there's no reason to suspect it. And there would only seem to be reasons to suspect it if it would protrude. That's the way it sounds like when it comes out of the Gemara.
Isn't it talking about also if it's made out of pieces?
Oh, that's next. That's the next piece. Yeah. So the Gemara says, I'll give you another possible reason why Rabbi Gamliel's was okay. The Prakam Hava, because it's also possible that it was made. It was a model that would be made of pieces that could be taken apart. As a Mr. Potato Head. So Mr. Potato Head would not be a problem. Or I don't know if it's Mr. anymore, it's just Potato Head. So Potato Head is not a problem. Viba Yisema, Lislamed of you laugh, but I don't know if to laugh or cry. I don't know. It's just Potato Head's not a problem. It's just plain potato. Iba Yisema, unless you're walking after him with a peeler, in which case it might be a problem. Iba Yisema de Prakam Hava. It's fine. Viba Yisema Lislamed Aver. Or another possible answer is if it's being made in order to teach, then that would not be a problem. Or it's just, the Gemara says, is that true? Los Islamed Lasos. You can't make them even to learn. So it says but you could make them in order to learn and to teach. So it sounds like we're coming out that replicas of the base of Mikdash are a problem. It could be that all these things are a problem only if they protrude. I don't know how the Gemara is stuck on that. I mean, I can't tell you that people make them. I don't exactly know. People do make drawings and things like that of the base of Mikdash models. Certainly graphic models. Somebody, as a matter of fact, Torah Live, the person who runs Torah Live, put out this, not Torah Live, Daf Chaim, put out this incredible, if you ever watch this incredible video of all the different facets, about an hour long, of every different facet, understanding of every different chamber of the base of Mikdash. I mean, and it's just super, super incredible. I believe that they have it on their site, but I don't know. So people do it. They do it. So I guess only if it protrudes, I guess it would be a problem. And only if it's a real, it's and it's not. But certainly if it's made to teach, if it's made of pieces that break apart, these are the answers that are given. If it's made for a rabbim, those seem to be heterim. There seem to be leniencies in a case. Well, the Gemara says, is it? Do you see a Mishnah here? There's no Mishnah here, right? It says Mishnah. The next thing is a Mishnah. Okay, I can't tell from there's some blurry thing on my thing. Okay, now it goes on. It happened that two people came and they said, we saw in the morning, we saw the moon in the morning in the east, but at night we saw it in the west. Rabbi Chanan said they're lying. It's not possible. Yeah, I think that this, again, I don't really want to get too much into the how the moon works because I just don't know, frankly. But if they saw it in the morning, it's referring to the old moon, and if they saw it at night, it's referring to the new moon. I guess that seems to be one of the Rashi's pshatim, and he said it can't be that they saw it so close in time together. It can't be. But Kiblin Rabbi Gamliel did accept them to see. There's another case that happened that two people came. They said we saw it. I'm sorry, we saw it in its time, meaning we saw it on the night after the 29th. I guess on the night preceding the 30th. But when it came to the next night, we didn't see it. Lo nira. The Kibbutz Gamliel accepted them. Amar Reb Dosa ben Horkinus. Reb Dosa, the son of Horkinus, said, "It is shekarim. They're liar. How can a person give testimony that a woman has given birth already, meaning that she's not pregnant anymore? So like the moon was out, seeing so that it's not a pregnant month, right? And then the next day a person's gonna testify that she's pregnant. So how do you say that one day she gave birth and the next day she's pregnant, right? So how is it possible that that it's a month that is not a pregnant month, called a pregnant month, one day, and the next day you're going to say that the moon's out, so it is so it is a pregnant month. So Amalei Rabbi Yoshua Roanias Dvarecha. Rabbi Yoshua said, I see what you're saying and I agree with you. So he disagreed with, now Rabbi Yoshua here is disagreeing with Rabbi Gamliel. There is three major instances Rabbi Yoshua makes these, he disagrees with Rabbi Gamliel, and we see the outcome works out almost as we're about to see. Rabbi Gamliel is going to force Rabbi Yoshua into his opinion. So the last one is in the third, and the last one is in Brachos at the very beginning. And because of that third incident, the third time this happens, Rabbi Gamliel gets ousted as the Nasi. They actually oust him and they say, you are no longer going to be the Nasi. You can't continue to do this. Rabbi Gamliel was the elder he was the teacher of almost all of them. He was the elder of the Zakanim, of the Chachamim. He was on the older side. I think he was much older than Rabbi Gamliel. And Rabbi Gamliel, because of his Nasi position, he forces the opinion like him, and they all have to listen. They have to listen in situations where they have to listen. They don't always have to listen, but in situations where they did. They felt it was just not right the way that he treated Rabbi Meshua. Not that he disagreed, but we're going to see he's going to disagree in a way that he's going to really put Rabbi Meshua on the hot spot. Now that just in Rabbi Gamliel's defense, what they're going to see, it's going to sound a little bit like bizarre. Rabbi Gamliel was living right after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and he was trying to force authority in order to re-centralize the judicial power of the court. Meaning, after the destruction, everything went haywire. Everyone went haywire. There was no Lishkas Agazis. And so he was trying to rebuild the Sanhedrin Gedola as a power. So he exerted his presidency over the Beis Din. And I said Beis Hamikdash before, I meant Beis Din. He exerted his power over his presidency over the Beis Din, and sometimes they felt that it was too strong. So that's what we're going to see here. So he said, Ro'an is Tvarecha. He said, Rabbi Yeshua said, I see the counter argument to Gamliel, and I agree with that. I don't agree that it on the day that Rabbi Gamliel chose it to be Rosh Chodesh. So Shalach Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel said, you agree with him? He said to him a message, Gozrani Alecha, I am commanding you. I'm decreeing upon you. Shetavo eitzli b'maklacha b'monecha b'yom kippurim. Shechalias b'chashmonecha. So work out on the day that you're considering Rosh Chodesh. Count 10 days, which will be Yom Kippur. So I guess this is obviously Tishrei. Count 10 days, which will be your Yom Kippur. I want you to take your stick and your wallet, carry them outside, and walk to me out of the walk to me on Yom Kippur. So I want you to be Machal Yom Kippur. So Halach Matzah Rabbi Akiva Meitzar. He came and he saw Rabbi Akiva distressed. Now the Gemara is going to ask who was the one that was distressed. Was Yeshua the one distressed, or Rabbi Akiva was distressed? But either way, it was distressing. He felt it was Yom Kippur, and Rabbi Gamliel on the day that he felt was not Yom Kippur. That was the day before Yom Kippur. He wanted Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Gamliel wanted Rabbi Yoshua to be Machal Yontif on Yom Kippur in order for Rabbi Gamliel to prove that he was right and Rabbi Yoshua was wrong. So he bumped into Rabbi Akiva, who was under distress. Again, probably Rabbi Yoshua was distressed, but we'll see after. Amar lo. So Rabbi Akiva said to him, he tried to comfort him. I can teach you that everything Rabbi Gamliel says about this matter is valid. Meaning he is whether you agree with the logic that he's saying or not is an academic exercise. However, Rabbi Gamliel's word on this is final, and that counts la halacha. Shenemar, and you shouldn't feel bad that you're doing anything wrong. Shenemar, Eila Moadei Hashem Mikroi Kodesh Asher Tikrosam B'Moadam. Right? These are the Moadei Kodesh Asher Tikrosam, and we learned that Ben Bezmanim, Ben Below Bezmanim. It doesn't make a difference if the moon is if the Chodesh is right. It matters the way Beis Din calls it, and Rabbi Gamliel, being the head of Beis Din, was allowed to make the final call. So it doesn't make, you're not doing anything wrong by being Machal Yom Kippur, because Rabbi Gamliel has that authority as the head of the Beis Din, and therefore you're doing the right thing. We will learn out from that. The only moados that we have are the ones that Beis Din calls. Rabbi Yoshua Bolo Eitzer Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinus. He came to Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinus, who also disagreed with Rabbi Gamliel. Amar lo. So Rabbi Dosa ben Horkinus said to him, "Don't feel bad about what Rabbi Gamliel did to you. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong, rather. If we're going to come and we're going to suspect or disagree or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm translating keywords in my head. Sorry. We're going to whatever. We're going to second guess. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. Somebody here is paying attention. So to my head. So if we're going to second guess the Beis Din of Rabbi Gamliel. Then we're going to have to second guess every Beis Din from the beginning of time. From the time of Moshe Rabbeinu until today, because when do we have a Beis Din like that? Shenamar, and as the pasuk says, Vayal Moshe v'Aaron Nadav Avihu v'Shivim Ziknei Yisrael. It says that Moshe, Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel got together as a Beis Din. Then now we ask, why didn't the names of the Zikanim? Why were they not mentioned like Nadav, Avihu, Moshe, Aaron? Why doesn't it say the names of the 7 Zikanim? El Lamed is coming to teach you. It's trying to teach you that there's these elders, that anytime you have a Beis Din of elders, even a Beis Din of 3, they're equivalent to Moshe. It's equivalent to Moshe and his Beis Din. Meaning there's no difference. So because the Torah just says rely on a Beis Din. It's not trying to tell you that you have to hit the status of Moshe Rabbeinu. So don't feel bad. So this is what the Beis Din said. Even if you feel that they're wrong, even if you feel that if we're gonna second guess this Beis Din, then we'll have to second guess every Beis Din. So we're not gonna do it. So fine. So Rabbi Yeshua didn't have any choice. So Natal Machla Mos of Biado, he took his stick and his wallet. And on the day that it fell at Yom Kippur, according to his mathematical calculation, he was Machal Yom Kippur. He took his wallet, his staff, and he walked all the way out of the Tchum, all the way to Rabbi Gamliel. Amar Rabbi Gamliel got up when he came in, and he kissed him on the head. Amar lo, and he said, Rabbi Gamliel said to Rabbi Yeshua, Bo b'shalom Rabbi v'talmidi, come in peace, my Rabbi and my Talmud and my student. Rabbi b'chachma, you're my Rabbi when it comes to wisdom. You taught me Torah. V'talmidi shekibalta es devari, and now you're my devari. You're my Talmud, you're my student because you have accepted my teaching. Brisa says, Tanya, and this is the last Brisa. We're going to have to go back now to the moon again. Let's see what the Rabbi Gamliel said to the Chachamim. Kach mikublani mi beis avi ava. Now again, the Brisa started off and says a person saw it in the east in the morning and the west at night. So the Brisa is continuing about that. And it says they first said that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said they're liars, and Rabbi Gamliel accepted the testimony. So this is my Mesorah, this is my tradition from my grandfather's house. There are times that the moon comes in a longer route, and there are times it comes in a shorter route. So the fact that the moon is one day like it looks like this, and the next day it's like that, don't suspect that. My timer, Rebbe. What is the reasoning of this? What is the reasoning? How do they know this? How do they know that the moon can come in these different paths? It says that Hashem made the moon for the seasons and the sun with its setting. So Shemesh hu yada mavo. The sun has its specific setting. Yareach yada mavo. But the moon it plays weird tricks. It has different times. It's different ways that it sets. I mean, the sun always sets in a very consistent pattern, but the moon can be in the east, the west, all things. Okay. Now, Rabbi Chia, who wanted to make the 30th day for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, we don't need the background. He wanted that the 30th day should fall out to be Rosh Chodesh, meaning that it should be a 29-day month, and the 30th day should become one. He didn't want it to be a 30-day month or 31 one. He saw the moon in the morning of the 29th. So the 29th is definitely, let's say January to February. The 29th was the 29th, or let's say El Tishrei. We might as well talk Hebrew. We're talking Torah. We might as well talk Hebrew months. So El Tishrei. So the 29th day of Elul, he saw the moon in the morning. Now that's clearly the old moon, right? So it's clearly the moon from the previous month. He saw the moon in the morning, but he wanted to make that night. He wanted to be Rosh Chodesh, and it couldn't be that night there would be Rosh Chodesh if you saw the moon in the morning, for whatever reason. So it says Shaka Kala Pasuk Peh. He took a piece of dirt and he threw it at the moon, which that helps. Amar, and he said, "La'or de be'inan the kiddush bach." Tonight we want to do kiddush. We want to make kiddush chodesh. He says, and you're out here. You're showing your face. What are you doing out here? Go hide. So Amalei Rabbi the Rabbi Chia. So Rabbi said to Rabbi Chia, Zil la'ayin tav v'kache le'yarcha. Go to Ein Tav, a place called Ein Tav, and then you could do, and then try to do Kiddush HaChodesh from there. So it seems that if the moon was visible and everyone knew that it was going to be a fraud, everyone realized that it's going to be weird. So he couldn't do Kiddush HaChodesh. So Rabbi said, you want to do Kiddush HaChodesh, here's what you do. Go to a place where they wouldn't have seen the moon, because it's not as visible over there, and do Kiddush HaChodesh from there. Meaning you'll do Kiddush HaChodesh, you can do Kiddush HaChodesh from there. So they wouldn't have seen the moon today, and then you'll do Kiddush HaChodesh from there. You'll be Makadesh tomorrow from there. And he says, and if you do that, Shalach li simana, send a code to me that worked. That meaning that tomorrow is indeed Rosh Chodesh. And what's code she send? Send me the code David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim, which is one of the we say it. One of the sources we say it from here. Rashi says, why do you say David Melech Yisrael Chai? We're used to sing it, of course, because that's what you'd say, Kiddush HaChodesh. What does it have to do with anything? So it says David. It's fascinating. Just a nice thing to a very cool teaching. It says David, the Malchus of David and Klal Yisrael also, as we say in Kiddush HaChodesh, we say it when we say it outside, is Nimshal. It is analogous to the moon. The same way the Malchus, the kingship of David and the children of David waxes and wanes, even when you don't see it, but it's Chai V'Kayim. It's there and it's going to return, right? So he said, send that to me. It's fascinating. Tell you something fascinating. We see that if you understand Navi, Shlomo HaMelech clearly thought he built the Beis HaMikdash, and you see that Shlomo HaMelech, he marries all these wives from other nations, trying to annex all these areas. He conquers these lands and all these nations into Klal Yisrael. You see that Shlomo Melech is doing that his whole life. As a matter of fact, it wound up destroying him, to being a thorn in the side, practically destroying him. So, but you see that Shlomo Melech doing that. So Shlomo Melech was a person that built a Mesa Mikdash, and we find this whole Malchus him trying to annex all these nations into the Jewish people. Clearly, Shlomo HaMelech thought that this was going to be, this was it. Like his generation was the generation that was going to be the epitome of Shiach or whatever that whole thing that was going to bring into the usher into the next time. It's fascinating. So David would be the generation before that. The moon is at its it's right before its greatest point. Is going in from the 14th to the 15th. It's fascinating. David HaMelech was the 14th generation from Moshe or Avram. I forget. I have to count which one it is. It's Moshe, I think. 14th generation. So from the formation of the Jewish people. So it's 14 generations, and as a people. And David's name in Gematria is 14. So it's Vav and Dalet is 10, and another Dalet is 4. So it's 14. He was the 14th generation. And the 15th generation, which would be Shlomo, was the time the Beis Hamikdash was built, was when we were at its, when everything was aligned. Where we had the Beis Hamikdash, all the Jewish people were in Eretz Yisrael. Shlomo Melech we had a kingship, everything was aligned, and his name is Shalom. That was his name. There's completion. He actually thought that was going to be the end, the 15th generation. But then, as we know, the moon wanes after it hits its peak, and that is what happened to the kingdom of David. Okay, I guess we'll stop, even though we are now lost yardage. But have no fear, because we are starting the third parak, and the third parak is a lot less introduction on stuff. So, God willing, we will catch up. Have a fantastic day.